And if you have enough fire for that path, it's going to automatically work out, whether it's that or that failed path will lead you to the ultimate path.
Mm.
So don't be a fucking puppet. Don't sit there and go to school because mommy told me so. Go to school because it makes sense, because this is what I'm passionate about and school is needed.
I came to say what's on my mind.
Who you know got it like that? Who you know rather make rappers get laughed?
Got a very, very special guest today. The Rifter is in the fucking building. Ryan, how we doing today, bro?
What's good, brother? I'm good. How are you, man?
Man, I'm good. I got the legend on here. So, today's gonna be fire. We're gonna drop some value, man. But that's what's up, though, bro. So for people that don't know, me and Ryan connected on TikTok, like, dude, was it about it was probably a year ago at this point, or a year and a half ago at this point, right?
Yeah, it was. You were one of the OGs, bro. Yeah, it was probably spring of 2020, right around COVID.
Yeah, like right around when COVID began. And I remember I was like, yo, I was just going through TikTok, hopping in other people's lives. And I was like, yo, this dude is dope. Like, he's into fitness, he competes, this dude is sick. So, we started chopping it up on that live, and, we just stayed in communication. But dude, you've been killing it, man. You've been absolutely killing it. And I actually wanted to go into that. I brought up competing for a little bit, man, but I know that you have a background in men's physique, but that's not where it started, though, right? Like, you just didn't come out the womb and you were like, all right, I'm gonna start doing men's physique, right? Like, this was a journey that led to that, correct?
Yeah, it was a journey that never was really expected to happen. It just kind of happened. Like, if you want to backtrack even further, I started lifting in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started lifting in high school my junior year or so. Well, more so my sophomore year. My basketball coach, I was a really good basketball player. I was like freshman on the varsity, but I was really skinny. So my coach, he told me, he's like, we need to build some muscle. We need to bulk you up. And I always had that thought in my head that I want to be aesthetic and I wanted to look good. Like, it was just a natural thought. Like, I wanted to always have like a physical, like, upper hand on people for sports, and then just for me to feel confident about myself. And I remember, even backtrack even further, I remember in 7th, 8th grade, I'd be doing sit-ups in my room, right before the 7th, 8th grade dance, bro. Like, because I thought that would help,
Right.
And but anyways, I was 6'3", 155 my freshman year of high school. And by the time I graduated, I was 6'4", 180 on a good day. So I put on a little muscle, but I didn't really know what I was doing, honestly.
Yeah.
And then, I got a scholarship at a Division II school for basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always the guy that lifted compared to the other guys. They always thought of me as like, that's at that point, I didn't have, the Riptor wasn't even invented yet, but they're just like, I bet you Ryan's gonna work out after the game. They'd laugh about it, but they'd also be serious. So I enjoyed lifting, and then I ended up getting my degree in finance. And then right after that, I just couldn't sit still at a desk when I got my job. I graduated college, about around December 2013, January 2014, right in that window, and I just couldn't sit still at a desk. I had my entry level job. I didn't really enjoy it, so then I decided to take on fitness, and then once I started building my body a little more, then I thought about competing. So it was many, many, many years into my lifting where I decided to be in men's physique.
Okay. And how old are you right now?
Fuck, do I really have to say? No, I'm 32 now. So
32, yeah. Dude.
Yeah.
I thought you were like 26, 27, but like, you look good for your age, bro. You look good
Thanks,
for your
man.
age, man. A lot of people.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, a lot of people like around your age, that's when they start to fall off with stuff, and get the dad bod. But you've kept it up so far, and if anything, you're improving your physique year by year. I see the grind, bro. But
I'm still building.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm still building. I mean, I do it day in, day out. Like, I legitimately, like, I enjoy it, so it's not a problem. But I honestly, it's a full-time job. Like, I have to stay on it, and to keep improving. I'm literally on it. So I'm still in my prime, but it's because I've worked so hard to keep it. But yeah, man, I should start more so embracing my age more than, keeping it low key. I don't like to admit it too much, just because, I'm competing with other influencers that are 10 years younger than me. But, yeah, 32, bro. I graduated high school in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, you were probably in elementary school or middle school at that point, right?
In 2007, yeah, I was in elementary school at that time.
All my homies are, you know, popping out kids and gaining a little bit of body fat. And I'm fucking sitting here.
There you go.
know,
But
just,
that's the dream right there, bro. Like you want to be able to, at least for me, how I look at it is like, all right, my 20s, I'm gonna spend grinding, and then my 30s, that's when I'm gonna be in my prime. You know what I'm saying? That's where I'm gonna have
you
my
are.
peak. I'm gonna have my
You're right.
finances. That's where I want my life to be, like you know, Instagram shit, right? And so
Yeah.
I mean, like, bro, like I think that's fire for you, bro. And I think like right there in itself that you're 32 and you're still like, you know, on your purpose. That's something that you should talk about a lot more, to be honest. There's something there that, you know, us younger influencers don't have. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I do get that a lot. Like a lot of people kind of are under the assumption, maybe it's partly because I'm on TikTok, but they assume, you know, I'm 26, 27 in general. But yeah, I'm 32, bro. But a lot of my buddies are you know, like I said, married and having kids, but you know, I'm in a good place, you know, we're building, we're grinding.
Most definitely, bro. Everything that you want is gonna come through. You know what I'm saying? One thing I do want to talk about, since you are a little bit older, man, like what is your opinion on and you know, you've experienced all this, all right? You're 32, you went through your 20s. What is your opinion on like guys, younger guys using their 20s to either build, to party, experience the world, chase women? Like, what is your opinion on all that? Do you think that your 20s should be spent grinding and building, or do you think that you should be doing whatever in your 20s or whatever?
I think it's closer to grinding, but I think you need to do both because there's a balance. So you could grind hard and then in your 30s want to start partying and reliving some of the past, and that's not good either. So you want to have that difference. You want to have that balance between, you know, living up your 20s, but not having it damage your future. So it's like knowing the difference between enjoying your life and not having your life be ruined in a sense. So I think it's important to grind, but I also think it's important to do fun things as well. It's good to have that balance, and it's a constant battle. It's very hard to balance it, but I think it's important to do both. If you just grind, I'm telling you though, you will look back and you will, you know, wish that you partied a little bit too. For most men, I'm talking, this is generalities. Like I actually didn't get drunk until I was 23 for the first time. And then I partied through 23 through 26.
Was there a reason because of that, or you just didn't?
At the time, way back then, I was in a relationship with a girl who was very she was very, you know, religious, and that's great. I have God in my life all the time. But it was just to a point where we were very to ourselves, but I just didn't know who I was yet. I was uncertain, and I wasn't confident enough. I was a late bloomer in that regard.
Interesting. So what kind of got you? When was it where you were like, you know what, fuck it, man, I'm about to shell out, I'm about to blossom? Like what was it that kind of pushed you to that?
When I dropped the girl that wasn't for me, she wanted me to work the this is what 2012 now. This was, you know, I was just graduating college, finishing up college, and she was encouraging the corporate 9-to-5 life, have a wife and kids, you know, that kind of thing. And it was dry for me. I needed a little bit something different. I needed to find myself. So that was one of the best decisions of my life, was to let the girl go. So young kings out there, if you have a girlfriend who you feel is holding you back, or your intuition is she's holding you back, but you feel stuck, or you feel like you're in a place where you don't know what to do, trust your intuition. It's never a mistake to let go of a girl when your intuition tells you that you have bigger things to go on. It's a no-brainer. I'm telling you guys.
Oh man, yo, that's facts right there, bro. Because here's my thing, man. Like I feel like, you know, nobody's perfect. Everybody struggles with it every once in a while. Like, listen, I struggle with it as well too. Like having an abundant mindset rather than having like a scarcity mindset, not only with business, not only with whatever it may be, but or friends, but like even relationships, getting a girl, you got to have an abundance mindset, because if you don't, you have that scarcity mindset, it's going to keep you closed in to options, to not branching out? Because if you feel like you have to stay with this person and you know that this person isn't necessarily healthy for your life, then you're not going to be able to grow yourself.
I'm telling you, if you're with the wrong girl at that age, with all the distractions and all, honestly, the way the world is these days, it's a lot more satanic than we'd like to admit. There's a lot of distractions. Social media is getting bigger and bigger, more of a distraction. Something's gonna happen where you break up, or someone moves on, or someone's not being honest, and someone gets hurt, and it's just I guess you could say it's a disaster waiting to happen if you feel like it's not going well. Not saying to quit on something, but if your foundation is not there and you're unsure and your intuition tells you to get out, you really do need to consider it. You don't have to make that decision overnight, but you need to think about it over a course of a couple of weeks and make a decision on that.
Most definitely. So at that age, you're 23 years old. This is about almost what, like 9-10 years ago. There was no social media back then, right?
At that time, Instagram was pretty infant. It was just started, and Facebook was still probably the main course. Okay. MySpace was already in the back burner.
Yeah,
that was end of high school.
Yeah.
But yeah, so at that point, if you started on Instagram in 2013 and you tried to build a social media, you could grow it pretty easily back then, but it's a lot different now.
100%. And my question to that was going to be, do you feel like relationships are harder now compared to what they were back then because of social media, or do you feel like it's about the same?
There's so many more distractions, and back then the dating apps were like, and I was on some of them at that time, like
dating apps back then.
Yeah, they had them. I mean, smartphones came out in like 2009. So, I mean, there was like, at that point, it was like Plenty of Fish, Christian Mingle, like that kind of stuff. OK Cupid, and Tinder came out in like 2013, I think. But yeah, man, it was a different world for sure. But there's more. The distractions are probably 3 or 4 times stronger now. So you have to have more faith. You have to have more. You have to just be more, you can't let the distractions get to you. You got to focus on yourself. You focus on yourself, and then, you won't have time for the distractions. You'll have more time for the important things, which is also attracting a higher quality woman too.
Let's talk about that real quick. What is a higher quality woman to you in that sense? You know what I'm saying? Like what is a high value woman and what's a high value man?
A high value woman is someone who can be independent. They don't need you, but you complement their life. So you want to find yourself a girl who has some type of goals. And if they're their Snapchat score is over 500,000, she's for the streets, so to speak, right? I would say even if it's over 200K, they're definitely got their options up.
Right. It can't all be friends. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, something's going on there.
My girl has a 4,000 Snapchat score, and I'm like, that's pretty special.
There we go.
Like, isn't that sad that these days that's like a big deal? Like that's considered high value right there. When
it is.
She's a pretty girl too. So obviously.
100%. So, all right, 23 years old, you break up with your girlfriend, and she's wanting to go into this corporate life and kind of live averagely. Like, what after that? What was your next step? What was your?
No, I wouldn't say that she was just an average Joe. Like, she was an ambitious person that wanted to move up. So she's the type of woman actually that had some goals. She was ambitious for sure. She just wasn't settled. She just didn't understand the entrepreneurial lifestyle at all. Back then, though, it wasn't quite as prevalent as it is now to be an entrepreneur. So she just wanted that stability with a family and stuff. And she was the type that wanted to settle down a little bit earlier. So I just wasn't there yet, man. I just hadn't really even found myself yet. So
okay, most definitely. So after that breakup, you decide, okay, the entrepreneur life is for me. What then was your step to like kind of make that transition and go into the fitness realm?
Well, honestly, bro, I don't even know if you want to call it an entrepreneur yet, but I got my certification. I started competing that kind of direction in 2015. And I was a personal trainer at a gym from 2016 through 2020. And so I didn't really go all in on social media until COVID. So in between that time, I was mainly probably 80% of my income was coming from coaching or being a trainer at the gym, that local gym I was at. And then maybe 20% I would do some things on the side and do a little bit and then still have like a small presence on social media, you could say. Yeah.
Okay, most definitely. So then when did you start started going towards like Instagram and TikTok like during COVID, or were you, because I know your Instagram following was like pretty big before you kind of blew up on TikTok, right?
Yeah, it was, but it was something that kind of like I built the following, but at the same time, like, and this is me just being completely transparent. Like, I think I had like 13K or so on Instagram or so when I started TikTok. And the first 13K, I would say most of it was actually real people. And I wouldn't even say anything was fake followers, but I did pay a dude like, I forget what it was, like 50, $70 a month or whatever to get followers, but it wasn't fake people. They were actual human beings, but they didn't have anything in common with my social media. So I would have followers. They weren't like bought fake bots. They were just people that didn't care about fitness. So I would say about 6K of my first 13K followers were probably more so people that just followed me back because the follow for follow thing. I was pretty annoyed with the fact that I built it up. Now looking back on it, I know that was a mistake. But so I have like almost 19K now. I would say about 1/3 to 1/4 of it was built through that service I paid for, where they were real people. They just aren't interested in fitness. So little disclaimer, I guess, on the following, but from 13K to 19K, it's all been people from TikTok and just maybe the explore page on Instagram and whatnot.
Absolutely. So what's your opinion on like, because I mean that's very prevalent nowadays, and I don't think a lot of people would be open about like speaking on stuff like that. So
it is what it is. Yeah.
So
it is what it is.
What's your opinion on people that completely buy followers and people that like try to grow it from the ground up?
Well, people that buy followers, you know, it's gonna show. It gets obvious. And then when you see people that have like a following where it says where it shows how many, like who liked it, but it doesn't have the amount of numbers. And they're like, let's just say someone's got 30,000 followers, they got 7 comments, and they won't even show how many likes they have. That's an obvious sign that they probably bought followers and they're trying to hide something. So it's not worth it. It's the only people that think that that's legitimate are people that don't even spend time on social media, and even those people are probably not going to be consumers if they don't follow your stuff enough. People see that it's like a facade, you know. And you know, there's people that genuinely buy followers that are ghosts, and then there's people that buy, like that's why I follow 4,000 people on Instagram, partially is because I had a gentleman use my platform and follow people to follow with his system. And that's how it started. But so I don't think I necessarily bought followers. I just went to an ineffective way of building your platform, so to speak, because they were real people, but there's just no mutual connection. I'd be following with someone who from China who doesn't even speak English, who mutually followed me back, who was never going to look at my content. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
But I think it's important to build it legitimately. You have the opportunity to use TikTok to bring people over with your marketing skills. So not only can you earn it your way and earn your audience, make it more genuine, but also, you're learning how to you're actually simultaneously learning how to market and speak in front of people and build a voice. So you're building skills along the way. So buying followers is a disaster.
Yeah. Let's talk about skills for a second, because I feel like that's very important, and especially today's day and age where you can hop on like TikTok, you can hop on Instagram, YouTube, and if you have a skill and you're able to talk about it, you can monetize off of that. So how important to you was it to kind of harness your skills and then like noticing the opportunity to I guess bring it to the marketplace, to these social media platforms?
Well, I mean, I just kind of watched, for me to develop my skills, the first key was really to develop a voice. You can't just go on TikTok and just do workouts and have no real rhyme or reason, no explanation, unless you have like, a David Lade physique, which truthfully, very few people do, or you have that like Ziz look. You literally have to have the Ziz look and be good at like editing and keeping people's attention to not develop a voice and grow. You can't do that. You have to build a voice because there's too many good physiques out there. There's too many people with good cameras for you to just go out there and do it. I've been doing every piece of content I've had right now. I don't know if it's a good thing or, I mean, it's not good. It's all been in 4K, but on my iPhone. And that's one thing I'm behind on is technology. I'm going to get a camera at Christmas time, right around the new year, getting a brand new camera. So I think having a good camera is important, but you need to have a personality. You need to actually be able to speak. If you don't have a voice, you're in a general sense, you're doomed. You just can't, you just not enough. There's too many distractions. There's too much competition. You have to stand out. You have to talk sometimes.
Absolutely. And I think that that's fire that you don't, because I'm in the same boat too, man. I don't have a camera. I just been recording everything off my iPhone. You know what I'm saying? And we've both been able to build up like this following. And I feel like one of the biggest misconceptions out there is that in order to build up a following, in order to get attention, that you have to have like the most high tech, the fanciest cameras. Where in all actuality, like honestly, bro, like this is my iPhone 11, right? When I first got my first 10K followers on TikTok, I had an iPhone 6 and the front screen was like broken and cracked up. You know what I'm saying? But like I still was like, fuck it, we're gonna find a way to make this happen, no excuses. And I'm kind of hearing the same thing with you too. Like, okay, you don't have a camera, but you're still finding a way to make it happen with what you have at home. So
Yep.
talk about that for me real quick. Like, do you feel like that no excuse mentality kind of transferred over from fitness as well too? Or do you feel like you just kind of always had that, or you just...
Well, I think I learned it through sports right off the bat. Like, and my parents divorced when I was 8. So, and I didn't really have my dad in my life too much. So
Same.
I kind of just figured out how to do it on my own. I mean, I don't know. I just, from sports experiences in sports, and also going even further back in my childhood, I never really had a whole lot of my family never really showed, like, they never gave like compliments. So subconsciously I always wanted, at a young age, now it's different now, I've grown up, but at a young age, what stemmed it was I wanted the approval of others to do well. And I also got that X factor drive in sports. And then once I realized that it didn't matter what other people thought, then I catapulted my learned behavior, so to speak, of like pushing myself, self motivation. And then I just did it more and more for myself. And I was able to also mold my authenticity once I was able to discern between approval of others and just approval for myself.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's deep, man. And I could actually really relate with that. I didn't have my biological father growing up either. Most of my family were from Jamaica, and long story short, he had to immigrate back to Jamaica. So, my mom remarried to my stepfather, but for a long period of time, I didn't have a biological father in my life. And I don't know, there's a lot of things that you don't get, that you have to learn for yourself and develop for yourself, like you were talking about. It's like those traits are super powerful, man. And I love that. That's great. So let me ask you this, man. On your fitness journey and competing, what do you feel like was like your biggest obstacle?
I mean, honestly, from a building the body perspective, or more so mentally, because I don't know what it was. I've always been a creature of habit. I've always loved a routine. So for me, the fact that I loved a routine and I was very goal oriented and self motivated, and made bodybuilding a really natural fit as far as like being able to continuously build my body, eat the same foods I've eaten for the last few years, pretty much daily. So from the physical standpoint or the mental standpoint, like bodybuilding, you to be a successful bodybuilder, you need to enjoy repetition, you need to enjoy consistency, a routine. Like those things are very important. And that's definitely helped me mold me to who I am today as well. So
Absolutely, man.
yeah.
Did you have any role models that you looked up to in the competition world? Or
Honestly, I was one of those late bloomers when it comes to that. Like growing up, my role models were my favorite basketball players. Like growing up, my role model was I really liked Chauncey Billups. We're talking NBA. Tim Duncan. I don't know how familiar you are with the NBA, but those were my role models. Were my favorite athletes that like were always showing through example and leadership. And then once I got into bodybuilding, now my the people I look up to are like Sadiq Hadsavic. He's from New York. He's from New York. Arash Rabar, another guy from New York. Kind of that New York mentality and that high self motivation. Those are the people I look up to now. But I didn't really know of any bodybuilders until I was literally a grown man. 25 years old is when I started understanding, who's who. And one second. Sorry, I had a phone call. Sorry about that. I had a phone call on the other end. But those are the people I really gravitated towards, Yeah. So yeah, it was. I didn't even know who Ziz was until he was dead.
Really?
So these kids that's why I get so annoyed with that trend where kids look up to Ziz and they probably understand the legacy now, but they didn't 6 months ago. So I'm like, really?
Yeah.
That's just me. That's just me thinking out loud right now.
Yeah.
Because I didn't even know who he was until he was dead. Right.
Yeah. I honestly don't know too much about him either, to be honest. I see people talk about him, but like I never like researched him or anything like that. But I'm assuming he was a bodybuilder back in the day.
No, bro. All he was he's like an older version of Jeff's side. Like he literally just like, I'm not hating on him or anything, but he would just go to the EDM like raves, and he did a YouTube kind of explaining, kind of molding, partying, and having an aesthetic physique, and getting girls and stuff. And like, I don't know, I think at that time he had the look, and there wasn't that many people that did what he did.
Yeah.
So he stood out that much more. And then when you die, that adds a little bit more. People live on the legacy and stuff, and that makes it more like it touches people more because it's so sad that he's gone. So he never actually did a show. He never bodybuilded. He just was a figure. He's an influencing figure. Yeah, that's it. Jeff Side did compete, but he's kind of the modern day version of that now. I think Ziz is like, I think he died in 2011 or 12. I think he was like a year older than me back then or whatever. I think he's born in 88 or something like that. But yeah.
Okay. Got you. So I heard you say that you used to look up to Tim Duncan and all these other basketball players as kind of like leaders, right? And then as you went to men's physique, switched over to bodybuilding, it switched over to more of like having this self-motivation. Do you feel like when you were playing basketball and you were kind of in that realm of life, do you feel like you always had that self-motivation, or do you feel like the kind of that team camaraderie was there that kind of motivated you as well? Or
no, I think I thought that, see, back then my issue and my strength at the same time was I would work really hard. I would shoot baskets every single day. I'd train to what my thought process was hard, but I just didn't train that smart at that time. So I didn't have that father figure or really good coach growing up, but I was really good because I had determination and I had some of the tools. I was tall, but I was so good at like some of the things that required repetition. So I was a really good shooter. I could shoot the ball. I was like back then I was a basketball player. I was 6'4", but I was a guard because I had that unique skill of shooting. Back then in the early 2010s and like late 2000s, shooting when you're tall was not as common. Nowadays, everyone can shoot. The NBA, the whole sport has changed a lot in the last 10 years. But back then, like, that was a commodity. I was tall, I could shoot, I had pretty good athletic ability, and but the key was all the repetition. I was a good shooter because I I would practice every day. It would be like nowadays people complain or not complain. They have a hard time on a rest day, or they have a hard time taking a rest day from the gym because they like going to the gym so much. Same thing with basketball. I would have withdrawals. I'd be very cranky if I wasn't able to exercise and shoot hoops. That was everything for me.
I hear you, man. It sounds like you were really grinding for basketball. Were you trying to take it to a pro level at some point?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to play pro. I mean, I thought I could. I mean, in my head, I wanted to make the NBA. That was in middle school. Once I got to high school, I realized that the NBA is probably unlikely, and I'd be more likely suited to be a college athlete. And then once I got done with college basketball, I could have played overseas in some kind of small league or something, but I was a creature of habit. I liked being comfortable in the US, and I just stayed and I just kept going with what I was doing at the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So then after that, that's when you were like, all right, I need to pick up something that was fitness.
Yeah. So I was the type of person right after school, I got my degree in finance. I would go to the gym at 6, 7 in the morning and then go to my job that I dreaded. And in the morning, that was the highlight of my day, was going to the gym and training. And it just kind of, you're doing that so many weeks and months in a row, you're just like, well, maybe I should just, focus on fitness. Maybe I'm better off doing something different. So that's when I started taking it to the next level. So, I mean, I always had a good base, and I had trained for 8 to 10 years, about 8 years before I even competed. But a lot of it, I mean, you could easily have acquired the amount of gains I did in 8 years in a 3-4 year span if you just decided to dedicate your life towards, or your sport towards, bodybuilding only. So it took me a while. It's because I was doing sports as well. So I wasn't focused on building my physique to a crazy level or anything like that, because at that point I was doing it for sport and for myself. But you could easily acquire the gains I made in about 4 years. It didn't have to take 8 to 10 years. I was a noob, just kind of going to the gym, common sense, maybe protein shakes and stuff, but that was about it.
Yeah. I tell all my clients that too. Like, look, I'm trying to condense down what took me almost 10 years and about 1 to 3 years for you guys. You just have to follow the recipes pretty much. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
that's okay. That's what's up though, man. Like, so you didn't have a spark for fitness until, in terms of like knowing that, okay, this is going to be my career path, until you were like in the job force working and going to your 9 to 5.
Yep. This is how my life was. I would wake up, go to the gym, work 9 to 5. And then on the weekends, at that point, I was about 23 or so, and I was starting to do a little bit more partying. And then I would use the gym, and I would use being social. I would go to like, EDM concerts, hang out with friends. And that was my outlet. And I realized, why am I looking forward to everything but my job? Something's got to change. And then that's when I focused more on fitness as a profession, really,
Which I think is really dope, because it's hard to take that first step. It's hard to take that risk, right? Especially if you're at this 9 to 5 where you're getting this nice and steady paycheck, everything is good. What's that cause? What's that thing that pushes you to get out your comfort zone? And you found it. It was, you didn't want to live that life anymore. You want to do something that set you on fire.
Well, yeah. I mean, I just thought, like, could I really see myself doing this for 30, 40 years and then kind of living in regret? Yeah. It was a fork in the road. You go one route, you're not going to have a terrible life. You're just going to have a steady life, but it's going to be boring as hell, living in Michigan, working a 9 to 5. Or you can move to the West Coast. You have a friend or two that live there anyway. Move to the West Coast, try something different. You're still young enough to go back into finance if you don't like it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know you said that your relationship ended after you decided not to work at your job. What else changed in your life after that? Just for anybody out there that's thinking about making that jump too. And
yeah, once you do something that's out of your comfort zone, that is something that most people won't do, or you're doing something that's questionable, but like you feel in your heart, your intuition, that this is the right thing for you, this is what you're set out to do, you start to gain a lot more independence and confidence in yourself. I had no confidence in myself because I was following a script. So I didn't really build my confidence until I have no shame, or she's a great woman, back then, but I wouldn't have been confident in my own skin. I wouldn't have been, you just gain a lot of independence. You become a Sigma male. Sigma male, someone who can be on their own and do their thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're one man. You don't need anyone. A woman in your life is just complimenting you and making life, gives you that balance, gives you that boost. Someone who makes you better as well.
Yeah.
That's a compliment to your life.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's talk about that Sigma male real quick, because I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. Like I'm 23. I'm really driven about making my career in the fitness industry and growing my name and my brand. And as you know, like I'm sure you went through it as well too. A lot of people aren't driven like that. They're kind of 9 to 5 and then go party on the weekends, whatever it may be, So what were some things and what were some strategies that I guess you use on yourself, or some things that you had to overcome to like really be okay with being like, all right, you know what? I may not have all the friends, I may not have girl by my side, but I'm on my purpose, and I'm cool with that.
You just got to look at your life from like a big lens, like 0 years old to, in my head, I'm thinking in my head, I'm going to live to 80 to 90 years old, assuming that nothing bad happens to me. So I'm thinking, do I really want to look back at 60, 70 years old at my life and be like, damn, what could have been? Like, you know what I mean? So I just decided to take the plunge. So for me, especially when you make a change, like in the fit, like of all careers, like honestly, you could go into a lot of different careers and even start a different career at 40. But when it's the fitness industry and you're a nobody at 25, like you realize that you have to be on your shit daily, because you already don't have time. So you have to be on your game. So for me, that motivates me enough to know that, well, I mean, I can't wait 5 months to do this and that. Like, then I'll be 33, 32. I'm not even in early 30s. I'll be mid 30s. That's not good in the fitness industry. A natural lifter who's 32 years old, like that's weird.
Yeah. It's hard to like build a physique in your 30s rather than you were building it throughout your 20s. You see what I'm saying?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I had a good physique even in my late 20s. Like I won my bodybuilding show completely 100% natural when I was 27, 28 now. So, I mean, I did have a good physique. Don't get me wrong. But like at this point, just gaining a couple pounds of muscle for the next 5 years is a win.
Yeah.
Eventually when you're 40, you're not going to be making gains. You'd be just hopefully maintaining
it. Yeah. Absolutely, man. Well, bro, I appreciate you coming on, man. Go ahead and drop your handles down here real quick so that the people can know where to follow you at.
Yeah, brother. The Ripter on both Instagram and TikTok. I really appreciate your guys' support. And if any of your followers, you guys so choose to follow me, you guys can DM me, and I'll do my best to answer any questions if I can. Our time is very valuable, but we try to get back with as many people as we can. Our DMs are flooded, but appreciate all your guys' support, and much love to anyone who shows me support, because it really does mean a lot. I want to say one more thing, is that the industry can be very, like the comment sections can be very brutal. So, you can say something very nice to a creator, and if they're at one of their low moments, that one comment can honestly allow them to create premium content for the next 7 days. A positive comment can stick with us, for 7 days straight if we're feeling down. And I guarantee you, no one will say this, but a lot of influencers, at least a couple times a month, they're feeling really down about themselves because of something someone said or whatnot. So if you say something really kind that you actually believe, sometimes those positive affirmations can keep a creator going, for the next couple of weeks, creating the best content they can for you.
I agree, man. A comment and just always seeing a DM just about like, hey man, like I appreciate what you've done. You know what I'm saying? Keep up the grind. And I know for myself, like whenever views get low, or I do see some comments that people are just hating, whatever it may be, seeing the good comments and seeing the DMs, it just brings back to me like why I'm doing this, you know, like what the purpose of all this is for. So
it keeps everything afloat, bro. It's
it does.
because people expect. Social media is a very fast-paced thing. People just expect perfection out of you, and so those kind of things go a long ways because you're putting yourself out there every single day.
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
know, people don't understand that. They don't realize it.
Yes. Yes. And that in itself is something that I feel like you had to fight, at least for me, man. When I first was getting into social media, I was 18 and not as mature as I am now. Like, dude, I had to fight a lot of things in order to just put myself out there, you know, insecurities, how would I be perceived, what people would think, this, and that, you know? So that's straight up facts right there. Do you feel like it was the same for you, or were you kind of solid from the beginning of it?
Um, like dating back to when I first started with fitness and stuff. I honestly I've come a long ways. My first coach for bodybuilding show, I almost followed what he did and almost regurgitated how he presented himself in my own way. So I wasn't sure about myself until I got more comfortable. I actually didn't get comfortable until I started getting used to speaking in front of the camera on a regular basis.
Mm,
It's it's a process. People
yeah.
very rarely is someone going to be just a natural in front of the camera right off the bat. It's just
Yeah.
it's a process.
Man, I remember when I first started getting onto like YouTube and like making my videos, whatever it may be, man, like I'd get so nervous for like like my head would be shaking and shit. But you eventually work through that stuff. And
Definitely.
this ties back to what we were talking about earlier on this interview, was that getting into this realm, getting into entrepreneurship just in general, you build skills that can last you forever, and having to build that confidence just to like come back onto the camera and talk and, make yourself feel comfortable, but still entertaining at the same time is what matters. You know what I'm saying? How is that going to translate to other things in my life down the road?
Absolutely. And I think that once as a creator, you kind of figure out what works and what doesn't work. You also get to learn how you can just tell by the algorithm and the engagement on your posts what people like to see. And you can also there's a little bit of psychology behind it all. Sometimes I know that I'm going to post one thing after another because I know that this is how it's flowing, this is the right time to post this because of something I just did.
Mm.
So yeah, you get to learn. Excuse me, there's a fly here. You kind of get to learn how people think. You get to learn how others perceive you and what works and what doesn't. You get to learn about people just through social media. So definitely.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, I'm gonna let you go, bro. But before I do that, I'm gonna ask you one last final question. And that's gonna be, if you could go back in time, man. All right. Back to your 23-year-old self, what's one piece of advice you would give yourself, or at any point in your life?
And there's a lot of things I could tell myself, but I would just say, this is a deep question. There's a lot of things. There's just so much on my mind right now. I would just say, find your purpose, find out what you want to do, and just go for it. Find out what you want to do. So my point is, if you are in high school, for example, and you don't know what you want to do for school, and your parents want you to go to a 4-year university that has high tuition, don't go to college until you know what you want to do. Don't go to college, period, unless you know that that's what you need to do to get to the next step. Don't just follow a script, follow your path. And if you have enough fire for that path, it's going to automatically work out, whether it's that or that failed path will lead you to the ultimate path. So don't be a fucking puppet. Don't sit there and go to school because mommy told me so. Go to school because it makes sense, because this is what I'm passionate about and school is needed. Find your path. And even if you try to find your path, if you don't find your path right away, that path led you to the ultimate path.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was fire right there, man. That was fire. Well, Ryan, I appreciate you coming on. Man, we're going to have to do this again, bro. And
I'm down, bro. Yeah, definitely.
I wish you the best, bro. Peace.
Thank you. Real quick, I want to say, so the Ripter on TikTok, the Ripter on Instagram. My Snapchat score is only 34K. You can hit me up on Snapchat, Roundball Ryan. So Roundball Ryan, that's basketball, because I played basketball when I got Snapchat way back when. And then also I have YouTube. You could just type in my first and last name, Ryan Bahnmiller.
Hell yeah. Everybody go give him a follow. Go fuck with him. This is my boy. So yeah, Ryan, it was good having you on, man. And to the next one. All right.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you. God bless.